Years ago when I was in a classroom, I was teaching and I was telling this story to my students when we get to the 70s, and I was talking about what happened to me as a boy, and one of my students just happened to say, that would make an awesome movie. And that's when it hit me. It was kind of like, yeah, it would.
When we read the script, it was a great script. We really responded to it. Because I guess the thing that keeps coming to mind with me is there's honesty in the script. You know, really, it came from true life experiences from Harrison. There's just nostalgia in it. It's told from the eyes of an 8-year-old boy, and that was really exciting for us all to be able to tap into.
I was really impressed by it. I say all the time, it was like, this is a diamond in the rough, man. I felt so fortunate to have had it come across my eyes, you know.
There was a lot to play with in this script, you know, between nature and the house and the fact that it's a period piece. There were a lot of elements that were very exciting for us. Right off the bat, we were ready to go. We said, absolutely, we want to do it. Yeah. Let's make a movie.
I knew I'd have to find the right directors for it because it didn't follow the formulaic, you know, dead teenager slasher film. Most of all, I didn't want to write a horror movie. I wanted it to be like a suspense thriller film, and I wanted to stay totally away from the horror genre.
Daddy! Dad!
Hey, there's my guy. What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much.
What was really nice about working with Harrison was he was obviously very close to the story because it's basically an account of his childhood.
As we were able to come over to Bruce's place, and he's pulling out photos of the real Gladys and Heine. He's pulling out photos of himself as Stephen. We're able to look at all this. We're able to look at the environment. He took us on a road trip to show us where his actual house was where this took place. Helped out a lot when we were coming up with a plan on how to go about shooting the movie.
And it was important for us as well to almost live up to those memories that he had. And we wanted the film to look and to feel just as he remembered it. So to have him as a resource, to be able to roundtable things with him, you know, when we all got to see these locations together and, you know, with ideas that we had, you know, does this ring true? It was just a really great thing to see everything come together.
Tom and Dave often have a phrase that they share one mind.
They were basically one director, just in two separate bodies. They have the same feeling, they have the same mindset on what the scene should be.
Never lost their temper, always worked well with the cast and crew, and was able to bring out the best with everybody. They were able to take, you know, overwhelming odds and time restrictions and make it all work.
Working with Tom and Dave was exceptional. They both are looking at something different, and so nothing is missed when you're working with them. One person catches one thing, another person catches something else.
It was just the easiest thing in the world. One would go to one of us and the other would go to the other one, and I don't know what they said, but sure worked out.
As far as making the locations meet the demands of the script, Harrison grew up, you know, in this area. So it was pretty much already designed for a place like Kunkletown. And, you know, the locations kind of fell into place. It does feel like it's 1970 when you're walking through Kunkletown if you just take the modern cars away.
Which was obviously peace of mind for us because one of our biggest concerns is nothing can look modern. And to come up here, and I remember just driving through, looking around, I was like, wow. And
I've grown up about 20 minutes from Kunkletown. In the 15 years that I had been driving through it, I don't remember it changing at all, quite frankly.
Okay, 68 Nancy Indigo, take one, marker.
In the film, I mean, the locations speak for themselves. I mean, the milk farm that we were able to get into, you'd pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to create a set to look like that.
Yeah, that milk farm was that was actually very fun, but also at the same time, it's pretty gross when the cow peed on our boom person. It was in the middle of the scene, he's all like, yeah, and he's wearing shorts. So the cow pees and it's splashing on him, and he's like...
Aunt Gracie's house. You know, this farmhouse that was just sitting there rotting.
It was chilling. I think it was the only place I've ever walked into where I got a chill. It was just something eerie about it.
Amy's store, Amy Yapel and her mother Colleen were just wonderful to us. And walking in there, it literally is, that's walking back into time, to a time when a general store did have penny candy sitting on the counter, and you could sample the candy.
I mean, I remember when we found Butch's, you know, it was perfect for our means. I mean, and the fact that he didn't live there and we didn't have to put anyone out of house and home was really a blessing, because, I mean, we got a chance to kind of production design the whole thing, and we turned it into what we wanted it to be.
You know, collectively, you know, we didn't have a production designer per se. The four of us put our heads together at these locations and decided, you know, color palette and all these things.
The abandoned amusement park is probably the coolest locations that we shot at.
Absolutely.
The place is wild.
And from, just to speak from, again, from a production value standpoint, you know, being a smaller budget film, to have these real locations, to be able to showcase that. And again, which we're, you know, we really feel that to put an actor on location versus putting an actor in a studio or on set, you know, it's a different experience. I think, you know, there's a lot for an actor to draw off of in an environment like that.
The guys found amazing locations, which makes my job 100% easier. The locations kind of light themselves almost. While they were discovering these locations, we were able to do tech scouts like at the same time or, you know, a little bit later. So we were all on board and knew what we were up against when we got there.
Hats off to our crew who went through some really crazy conditions. They showed up every day and were terrific, and they worked long hours, and it's just a really great environment when you're part of something like that, to know that everyone's going to work, you know, for the same reason. And that was really, it spoke a lot about our crew and their dedication to the project.
Get over here. See, you're at Tootie and her new friend Charlie.
Come on out here, son. Let's take a look at you.
Come on, Stephen.
One of the things we tried to do throughout the film is kind of tell from Stephen's perspective, from the perspective of an 8-year-old boy with camera behavior. A lot of times we're kind of leaning over his shoulder a little more and maybe looking up at the world a little more so than down as an adult would, and kind of just tell it through his eyes. And
we wanted to, as much as we could, and this again ties into knowing the location, is where are the areas where we can make this farmhouse look like it is literally in the middle of nothing but corn, and to really get the camera up and to see that span of nothing but corn. That was really important to us, that scale, and you know, as an 8-year-old boy looking out at this, you know, wow, there's nothing but the corn.
mm-hmm.
What's important to us, especially with you know, a child like Josh, was just to establish a relationship and trust. It wasn't necessarily let's get right in the lines and rehearsing. It wasn't about that. It was about just establishing that rapport and making it so when we did walk out on set or we did walk in the rehearsals, that he was very comfortable with us, and we had him come out to the farmhouse, you know, with Bev and with Faust, and he got the opportunity. Just, you know, we would say, you know, take a walk with them, and it wasn't about, again, it wasn't about lines and everything. It was about get comfortable with one another.
We immediately, you know, kind of hit it off, and we're very comfortable with each other. And Josh is great, man. He's a little spitfire. He really throws himself into the work, and we had fun, I think, from the start right into the very end. I mean, joking around, having a good time.
It's amazing, Josh. He's an 8-year-old boy, but you feel like you're talking to an adult when you would speak to him. There's definitely a process that's going on behind the scenes. I felt like he really brought a lot of layers to Stephen.
All the emotions that the character was going through, he internalized everything. He was very calculated, you know, and I know that when we would walk through scenes, he wanted to know the details, like even down to the little nitty-gritty, you know. It was really a pleasure to work with Josh.
I mean, as an actor and a producer, my hat's off.
Working with Faust was very interesting because, you know, we had worked together for so many months with the producer cap on, aligning things, logistics, all that stuff. So it was really refreshing when it got down to, you know, a couple months out where collectively the three of us were able to take off the producing hats, focus on directing, and Faust could really delve into the role. It was just a really great experience to see somebody be able to shift gears like that and to really put the producing stuff aside and say, okay, I'm going to delve into my character, and it was a fun process.
You know, Barry was a challenging character to play. There's an internal battle going on with Barry that I think that Faust brought through. Where at the end, you know, he becomes the hero that kind of pulls the family together.
He personifies that instability within that family. That was something that Faust did a very nice job, you know, getting across.
Right here, right here. Okay, go.
And action.
Jesus Christ. That kid in Bangor, he shot himself in the eye because he was playing with bottles.
What's ricochet?
It's when a BB hits something, it bounces off, and it just pops your eye out. You know, that kid in Bangor, he was shooting BBs and he was playing with bottles. You know, his eye popped out like a grape.
Ma, it's not gonna pop his eye out like a grape. He can only shoot it when I'm around.
Oh yeah? What is that?
Right.
Cloris channeled my grandmother. Cloris wanted to know everything about my grandmother, you know, how she walked, about her weight, how she held a cigarette. I mean, down to the smallest details.
They fixed my hair, lightened it and made it golden blonde. I have my fat suit on still. When they showed it to her younger son, he said, wow, 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 that I was his mother.
By the time it's all said and done, you see why this woman won an Oscar.
To get a call and to have her agent, Robert Haas, say, you know, I plucked this script out of a pile. There's plenty of other work that Cloris could get for more money, but she loved the script, she believed in the script, and, you know, from our perspective, we're excited because here's a role that you haven't seen Cloris in a number of years. It's a dramatic role. Obviously, it runs the gamut of emotions, which you see in the film. She shows her comedic side, but she was just terrific, exciting, kept everyone on their toes at all times. From the key grip to a PA, it didn't matter.
Stop smoking, you asshole!
She's one of those people that's born to entertain, and it's just in her bones. She does it all the time. It really was a gift to work with her.
She was dedicated to being honest to the role of Gladys. She wasn't doing things simply to do them. It was always grounded in my relationship with the boy. I need to make sure that I'm coming across loving here and tender here. And the banter that her and Bev were just fantastic to watch. We would just be at the monitor laughing because they were the old married couple who love each other to death, but can't stand to be, you know, around each other at times. It was just really a fantastic experience with Cloris.
Every once in a while, something happens to you when you play a part. You belong to it, and it belongs to you, and I'm so moved by it. I'm so affected. I hate to go home.
Same thing as Tom had said with Tara Reid. You know, we were excited because it was a role unlike anything she'd ever done. She had never played a mother before. You know, we were excited and we felt very strongly that, you know what, she'd be perfect for this. And it's a nice opportunity for her to show a different side. What really sticks out to me was how prepared she was. Being that we were shooting her out in such a limited amount of time, I believe we had her for 4 days, and there was a lot of material to cover. We literally would blow through scenes, long days, challenging conditions, cold, and never a peep from her. She was a consummate professional. It was really awesome.
Action!
Bev was another one who kept everyone on set on their toes in between takes. He was a lot of fun, much like Cloris, very interactive with everyone. I know he would always pull pranks on people, but I mean, on set, he was terrific. It was really a pleasure to watch him, especially work with Joshie. They had such a great rapport together, and it was really neat to watch them take on that grandfather-grandson role together, you know, that relationship.
Bev brought a lot of great little details. Things like when Heine and Steven are walking into the grocery store, and Steven goes to walk in and Bev gives him a little push, says, "Get out of here," and kind of pushes him back. When he dropped the coins into Steven's hands inside the hotel bar, it's all the way he drops them. All those little things, you know, really brought Heine to life.
It was very exciting when Bev came in and read for Heine. I remember we just couldn't wait to get back to show the screener to Harrison because we were like, you know, from everything you've told us and from reading the script, he is Heine. You know, immediately the four of us were just like, all right, that's one more down, Heine's cast.
I don't want to buy anything, Eugene. I just need to talk to him. My dogs are gone missing. Just wanted to ask him if he's seen him running around the farm here anywhere.
the nemesis character of the film, Eugene and the ringmaster combined into one. This gave us a great opportunity to work once again with Louis Morabito. When we read the script, the role of Eugene immediately jumped out of us as being a very offbeat character, acting in very offbeat ways with young Stephen, and we thought who better to play this role than Louis.
It was really an interesting thing because, you know, you had the Eugene character at the milk farm and then you had the ringmaster character, so it's really two different characters that Louis got to play.
Yeah, it also kind of walks a line between reality and fantasy. Is the ringmaster a figment of Stephen's imagination, or is Eugene really dressing up like a ringmaster and hanging out in an abandoned amusement park orchestrating hippie girls? We'll leave it up to you to decide what that is. But, you know, we have our own ideas.
I know from first reading the script, one thing that was very important was going to be the score and the sound design.
There are many little themes that sort of like highlight the characters and the way we're supposed to feel. I'm going to play some of them for you. First, Josh has this little theme, this little quiet, lonely, almost sad but not too sentimental kind of thing. And I use the piano, it sounds like this. And just to make that a little more interesting and human feel, I got one of my daughter's friends and had her sing this line. The fields themselves have a melody. It goes like this. Okay, so here's a string sound. All of the sounds in here were built from scratch. Some of my favorite ones is the crow, especially the feet of the crow as he's walking. That we had to do using straw and this little wooden box and stuff, and we walk with our feet. As Stephen is walking in the fields, we hear like this kind of odd stuff, which is me going. That's all. Wasn't that easy?
Don't you